Hey there, everybody. PTPOP here. Doing another live feed. It is Saturday, November 8th, 2025 at
Proceed to the route. Turn right onto Westwood Drive, then turn left onto Prospect Road.
11:45 in the morning. And I was thinking about this today.
At the lights, turn left onto Prospect Road.
Prospect Road, yes, thank you. When I was a kid, my mom and my dad grew up during the Depression, the first Depression. I don't remember my dad talking about it too much, but I remember my mother discussing a little bit. And
in 3/4 of a mile, turn right onto Albion Road.
During her childhood, they went to war, World War II, and there was all the rationing. They had to ration everything to make sure they had enough metal and supplies for the soldiers, and also to build tanks and boats and airplanes for the war movement. And it was a rough time, and I remember hearing stories of her telling about
at the next lights, turn right.
The things that she had seen in her life, and her uncle had gone to war in World War I and been wounded and came back from the war, and he had PTSD, or they called it shell shock back then. And you hear all these stories, you think, wow, the things that she lived through in the war and all this stuff, and the atom bomb was created during her lifetime, and then the Korean War came and went, and the automobile was relatively new when she was born. It was only a little, wasn't too old yet. She saw the inventions of television, and
at the lights, turn right onto Albion Road.
I remember finding a letter that my dad had written, I think, to my mother when he was, I don't know where he was, but he wrote a letter to my mother when he still lived at home with his parents, so they must not have been married yet, and saying they walked uptown to go watch the Cincinnati Reds play on TV at a local bar, because nobody had TV sets back then in their homes. Very few people had them in their homes. You had to have some.
In 3/4 of a mile, turn right.
You had to have some serious cash to have a TV set back then, and they weren't that available to the general public. So anyway, they get to see a lot of stuff in their age. And I think about it in comparison to what we've all grown up with. I guess I'm a Gen Xer, born in 65. I just turned 60. And I think about all the things I've seen in my life, and it seems like it's the same thing. I see the same thing over and over and over again. When I was a kid, we landed on the moon, allegedly.
Railway crossing ahead.
The Vietnam War was in full swing. It was born in the middle of the beginning of the the Vietnam War. And there was the Johnson administration, then the Nixon administration, then Ford, then Carter, then Reagan, and and it's always the same thing. It always seems to be the same scenario: war, inflation, poverty. The schools are always bad. It's the same scenario. There's always a racial divide. There's always a religious divide. There's always a tension between Israel and somebody, right? This has been going on as long as I've been alive. Back when I was a kid, there was the Israeli...
At the stop sign, turn right.
There was a war between Israel and somebody else when I was a kid. I can't remember if it was Egypt or if it was who it was, but go ahead, guy. Go. You got a gas pedal. It makes the car go fast. But
in half a mile,
Israel's always at war. They're always up against somebody, and there's always conflict in the Middle East. There was always far back as I can remember, we've been chawing at the bit to go to war with Iran, and now they're back in the news and we want to go to war with Iran. The same stories get repeated over and over and over.
At the next lights, turn left.
And it's getting to a point where I'm seeing a pattern where it seems like they're constantly trying to repeat these same scenarios. And I'm like, well, why is that? And now today on the Corbett Report,
At the lights, turn left onto Pearl Road.
I see him talking about, if you know, I think it's Jim Corbett, the Corbett Report on YouTube. He's talking about how he believes that they're trying to get us to go into a civil war. And that's their goal. Like, when I say they, I'm talking about the administration, the powers to be, the people that
In about 2
run the
miles,
show.
turn right to merge onto I-71 towards Cleveland.
You know, the oligarchs, the one percenters, the ones that run everything and control the money, are desperately trying to get us to go to war with each other. And I'm thinking, okay, if that were to happen, who are we supposed to fight? Like right now, if somebody came up to my front door and said, Pete, grab your rifle, we're going to war with each other, I'm like, who are we supposed to fight? You know, what are the battle lines? And the only enemy that I can think of, it's not Democrats or Republicans, it's the government and the oligarchs. So if they want a war, are they asking us to go attack the government? Are they asking us to, or are they trying to incite action against the corporations? Because that's the only enemy that I can see, the only opponent that I could actually see. Why do people drive right alongside of you when there's no need to? Oh, because she's texting, that's why. Okay, she's got her phone right between her legs. I can tell you what I think you should do with that phone since it's in the appropriate place. And now she's left the center. How exciting. Probably has 2.5 kids as well. But that's the only enemy I can think of. I don't really like people's opinions about certain things, but I don't have any, I'm not inspired to go attack somebody over it. There's none of the people that, you know, are my neighbors have done anything bad to me. I have friends that have extreme opinions about the current administration, either pro or anti, and I don't care. I'm just like, oh, I'm not gonna go beat them up over it, you know. So did they really want us to gather our arms and go against the government and the major corporations that apparently are making our lives miserable? I don't know. Is that what they want, really? Because there's some reason that you can't buy a house now for under $300,000, and I know it's not my fault. I know it's not my neighbor's fault. There's some reason now you can't buy a car for under $30,000 to $40,000, a brand new car. I mean, this car that I own right now is 6 years old. There's a top-notch character going into Arby's there. There's a reason why a third of Americans are considered to be at or below the poverty level. A third. There's 100 million, well, that's less than a third, but there's about a quarter of us are at the poverty level. That's like 100
In
million
1 mile,
Americans.
turn right to merge onto I-71 towards Cleveland.
Why is that? Is that my fault? No, it's not your fault. To my brothers in the United Kingdom, you guys are going through the same thing. Your country's being riddled with inflation, unaffordable housing, unaffordable everything. It's not just here in America, this is worldwide. So there's worldwide inflation. That's all of our fault, and we're supposed to fight our brothers over this? That's crazy. I would not raise a rifle to do any harm to my fellow American. I would not. Whether it's family related or otherwise, I have no reason to be violent with anybody that I know personally at all. But the government and the people that run everything, that's another story. You know, they're making all of our lives difficult. Record profits, major corporations with record profits, even making bigger profits now that they're trimming the budgets and getting rid of millions. There's been 1 million people laid off. 1 million people have been laid off, and they're replacing everyone with AI, and that's increasing their profits, and they're not sharing the wealth. Oh, okay. I guess that's fine. It's fine. I know, guys. Times are desperate down here. Times are really bad. And they're getting worse. And I remember as a kid, they predicted this years, like 30, 40 years ago. I remember hearing history teachers saying this is eventually going to get so bad that, the dollar will be valueless. It'll be impossible to find work. Food will be scarce. And it's happening. And I just sit and I look at it all, and
Use the right lane to merge onto I-71 towards Cleveland.
if that's what they want, then the Civil War, the first shot in the Revolution or the Civil War was fired when
Turn right.
they took out the CEO of United Healthcare. That seems to be the first shot. But they downplayed it, and they downplayed it and buried it by talking about transgender bathrooms and Epstein files and things like that to distract us. Because if you really ask me, the corporations, not the government, but the corporations are afraid of us. And the major corporations don't have the kind of financial, they have the financial backing, but they don't have the military. Oh, come on. Come on, jackass. You really had to speed
In about
up.
17 miles, take
You really had to
exit
do that,
174A
you fucking
towards
jackass.
Lakeside Avenue.
And then you put on your brakes. Your fucking little Kia. I gotta speed up because I'm an old codger. And the corporations don't have the military backing and the armament to control an uprising. They have some security, but they don't have the kind of security and the eyes and the boots on the ground that the government does. Now, the government would move in and try to protect its precious little companies because they don't want the economy to crash. But the thing that I think is really weird is the average person down here, your average American, isn't motivated enough because something is either being broadcast through the airways or the internet to dumb everybody down and make them like passive. I can't believe how many people here are mad at their postal worker because they're standing in line too long, but they're not mad because of what's going on around them with the economy. Nobody has any fight in them anymore, and they put something in the water, or they've done something with the food, or they've got something they're broadcasting to cell towers to make everybody lazy, complacent, fat slobs. They just don't have any fight in them. Your average person has no fight. The average person has no